It was a late spring afternoon, the kind where the air carried the scent of freshly tilled earth and the distant hum of farm equipment. My property had always been a point of pride, a vast expanse of land with clear boundaries, meticulously documented deeds, and decades of careful stewardship. But not everyone respected law, ownership, or boundaries. Enter the greedy neighbor. Let's call him Greg. Greg had always harbored envy toward my land, constantly making remarks about its value, my trees, and the lakefront views. Over time, his envy escalated into a dangerous audacity. One afternoon, I discovered he had drafted a plan to sell my land to an unsuspecting buyer using nothing more than a napkin map and vague promises. It was fraud, plain and simple, but he had hoped the vagueness and my reputation as a farmer would dissuade scrutiny. I was reviewing the security footage from the cameras lining the property when I saw Greg meeting with a potential buyer on the edge of my land. His hand waved over the napkin, his voice full of charm, as he described parcels that didn't legally exist. My pulse quickened, not in fear, but in resolve. This was a situation that demanded immediate action, preparation, and law enforcement. I calmly gathered my family and prepared for intervention. We moved strategically, ensuring we had clear documentation of Greg's illegal activity. The cameras had captured every handshake, every signature, and every misrepresentation. I also ensured that the property boundaries were clearly marked, making it obvious to the buyer and to Greg that he had no legal claim whatsoever. When we approached the meeting site, Greg's surprise was palpable. "What are you?" he began, but I raised a hand, showing him the deed, legal maps, and notarized documents proving unequivocally that the land was mine. "This property is fully owned and protected," I said calmly. "Any attempt to sell it without authorization is fraud and a criminal offense." Greg's demeanor shifted from confidence to panic. The potential buyer, now realizing the truth, stepped back, glaring at Greg for attempting deception. But Greg, desperate, made a reckless move. He tried to ignite a small brush fire near the property line, hoping to intimidate me or obscure the evidence. I acted instantly, using prepositioned safety equipment and calling local authorities. I contained the fire before it could spread. Greg's attempt at arson failed spectacularly, leaving him exposed to multiple charges: fraud, attempted arson, and harassment. The authorities arrived within minutes, corroborating the evidence, reviewing the surveillance footage, and taking Greg into custody. Later, reviewing the footage with my family, we noted every detail: the napkin map, Greg's attempts to misrepresent boundaries, and the arson attempt. Each element was documented, ensuring that the legal process would proceed without ambiguity. The neighbor had overreached spectacularly, thinking that audacity and charm could override law, documentation, and preparation. By evening, the property was secure once more. My family walked the boundaries, ensuring all markers were intact, the land safe, and every precaution in place. The attempted fraud had failed, the arson contained, and the message to the neighborhood was unmistakable. Attempts to steal, deceive, or intimidate would always meet decisive action. Greg, now facing legal consequences, had underestimated both my preparation and the clarity of ownership. He had assumed audacity and greed could overcome documented authority, only to discover that law, preparation, and vigilance are insurmountable when properly exercised. As the sun set over the fields and the lake shimmered in gold, my family stood together, reflecting on the events of the day. Ownership isn't just about possession. It's about preparation, vigilance, and the courage to act decisively when challenged. Greg's greed had collided with these realities, and the result was inevitable. Law and preparation prevailed. The lesson was clear to all: attempt to manipulate, deceive, or commit arson on property that is rightfully protected, and you will face consequences that are swift, thorough, and undeniable. My land remained mine, my family safe, and our legacy intact.